All right, good morning. All right, good morning. Welcome to this morning's edition of Serendipity Sunday. I am Asar, your host. I am live this morning from Unity Village here in Lee Summit, Missouri. Give me a second to make some changes here. All right, I see some of my attendees have jumped in on the Zoom. I originally wasn't going to do the Zoom. I was just going to do it via the YouTube, and it should be on YouTube now. So I was not able to get in on the link I originally sent out, but we are where we need to be this morning. Let me move some things around here. And welcome everybody in. I see we have the participants. The chat should be live. Yeah, everyone. So if you want to say good morning to me, you can do that to make sure I can see you. I'm sending something to you all. Awesome. There you go. Good morning. Myrna, I see you there. Can you give me thumbs up or text me a message across to let me know that I'm coming across clearly there, or you can see me and you can hear me? All right, good deal. Thank you. She gave me a high five. I give it back to you this morning. Well, let me, okay, good. Everybody should be populating now, and those who are normally on YouTube should have gotten a separate notification that I have gone live. And so I welcome you all this morning. 1 second, let me check a couple things. Okay, I'm going to get started. So first of all, I want to say, I pray things are well with each of you as you rise into this wonderful day, this day called Today, which is a gift called the present. As we move into this day, we move into this is the 14th of August, and we are in the second week of 4 weeks where we're dealing with the power of the mind. I'm really setting you up for or preparing you for the upcoming 12-week master course, Mastery of the Mind Master Course, which will start in the month of September. So you should have gotten an email on yesterday. That email reflected in it just the information that was necessary for you to make a decision that you wanted. The next step was more information regarding the registration. So make sure you do that if you get the chance to. I want to make sure of that. So let me good. So we are going to move on this morning. I think there's just a slight bit of miscommunication or confusion. Others who normally come out at the 8 or 9 o'clock hour are not out, primarily because they probably went to the YouTube platform, and the YouTube platform that was scheduled, I could not get into that. So I just came back onto this Zoom and went live. So we're going to give you a countdown to 5, and I'm going to start the presentation for this morning. Good morning. Welcome to this morning's edition of Serendipity Sunday. I am Auspicious Asar, also known as Greg Stanton. I hope all is well. For those of you who have joined me this morning, it's a beautiful day here in Lee Summit, Missouri. You may say, Lee Summit, where is that? Well, it's right outside of Kansas City, Missouri, which is outside of Kansas City. I'm here this morning. I've been here all for the last 3 days, and what I've been doing during this time is I've been part of a conference that was convened here at the Unity Village by the people of African descent in New Thought. So the African Americans who are part of the Unity, the Unity community, decided to host a conference which would introduce the Unity participants who are of African descent reintroduce them to the influence that Kemetic science has on New Thought, which has been a very interesting seminar. They are making a giant step forward, and I hope they are prepared for the step that they've taken. I met some really great people. I got to dialogue, and you don't know what you know until you're around people who either know or don't know. And so I have gratitude this morning to know that the 30 years that I have spent reformatting, retooling my understanding of traditional Christianity, now the time such as this has come forward. And so it's been a wonderful time here. This morning, I want to talk to you about the mind. We've started a series that has to do with the power of the mind. We talked about the tongue last month, control of speech. Now we're talking about control of mind. For the Cometians, the Africans that was influenced by the Nile Valley civilization, believed that there was three things that you need to master, one of which would be the mastery of the mind, control of thought, control of speech. Everything you say don't need to come up and come out. And thirdly, control of action. So when we're inside of this New Thought conversation, those are three essentials that you must fully understand. Sometimes we have the tendency to think just because we name it, claim it, just because we frame it, we hold it in attentions, or we have an intention that our attention can't hold. We think it's going to come to pass, but it's not, because there is a corresponding action that has to go with mind power, that has to go with the spoken word. There needs to be a corresponding action. And part of that corresponding action is that you live as if it's already happened. So this morning, I want to talk about convergence. Yes, I want to talk about convergence. I sent you a little email there, and in that email, it should have shown you an image. Let me go there right quick. Go to the image that I sent, so that way I'll be able to speak to that image, because it's really important that you understand what I'm talking about on this morning. All right. Let me see here. While you're out there, go ahead and say hello, say good morning as you wait. Okay, there you go. So the image that I sent you all, it says, the question was, are you a soul or spirit? Well, you're a combination of both. And in the image, you see three boxes. One of which in the upper left-hand corner is dotted, and it says Ka, and this points to convergence. In the bottom right-hand corner, where you see an image of me, you will see the same box that has Ba in it. And then you see two red arrows pointing towards convergence. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning, the necessity of convergence to be born again. And why am I saying to be born again? Because when we realize that man was originally created and then formed, going back to Genesis chapter 1, in Genesis chapter 1, source said, let us create man in our image after our likeness. And he created them male and female. That is, he didn't create them with the physical being at that time, but it was a concept. It was an idea. It was a spiritual creation. Everything is created first in the field of the spirit realm. And so man was both male and female. So it wasn't talking about the physicality of one having an innie and the other having an outie, but it was talking about the divine essence being divine masculine and divine feminine. So man is defined as divine masculine and divine feminine. And when we look at it on the physical realm, it shows up either as a man with the outie or a woman with the innie. Okay, so I hope that really helps you. Why is it important we know this? Because we get confused with who we are. We define ourselves as soulish beings, and some of us attempt to define ourselves as spirit beings. But if you define yourself solely as a spirit being, then you're no worldly good. If you define yourself as a soulish being, that is to be carnally minded, is death. That is, you don't have the capacity or the ability to run the program. So we have to understand what is going on here. When we look in the book of Genesis chapter 3, where it talks about the descent or the fall of man, and there is from that point that man, when he comes into this realm, when you become a physical being, you descend from your true essence of a spiritual being. And then when you move into this level of density of 3D, of being in this world, realizing that we're in this world, but we're not of this world. Many of us don't know that we're not of this world. We think we're in this world and that we are worldly people. So when you are birthed into this world, you move from the spirit world into the natural world in a physical container called a body. And so one of the things we have to do over the course of our life, realign, reattach. The word says in Romans 12, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It uses the word mind, okay? And it has nothing to do with brain. Brain is the organ that acts as a file cabinet that keeps all of our experiences and data in it. Many people run their lives according to what they know or what they have come to experience. Then you are limited, because when you get a new situation that you've never experienced before, you find yourselves in long contemplation, trying to, or double-minded, not knowing which way to go. But when you understand that that is just a registry, so I use my brain to affirm for me when I find myself in a situation that I can trust in source, I can trust in God, I can trust in the Lord, I can trust in the law. Why? Because I have history. So I go to my file cabinet and I look and I see I was once broke, busted, and disgusted. And I use the principles, I practice them, and they changed my life. So when I find myself, because things are seasonal, things are cyclical, everything goes around, as long as you're in this material world, things are going to die, things are going to diminish. And so when you move through these seasons, what helps you to deal with any season that comes, you have the ability to be instant in season, and when things are out of season, and we go to the file cabinet. That's what we use our brain for. But then when there are situations where you've never experienced before, and you don't know which way to go, you know how to wait on the Lord, wait on the law. You wait on the intuitive urge or a word that drops in on you from a place that's called the field. So that's what I'm talking about this morning. I'm talking about the need for a convergence, because too many of us are still living as soulish beings. Now, because we get this word soul and spirit confused, I wanted to introduce you to two concepts that the Cometians understood, our ancestors understood. So I'm talking old thought. Even though this is new thought, I'm bringing it into now thought, but I'm platforming off of an old original thought. The Cometians believed that you had a ka and a ba. So let's talk about the ba. I'll start with the ka. So when man was originally created, the idea of man being outsourced as God, he was created as a spirit being, a divine spiritual being. And then in Genesis chapter 2, we see this divine spiritual being that had no body, had no form, was in the same image and the same likeness of source. The divine intelligence said, let us give it an earth suit. Let us give it a body. So he reached down, and I'm using the story that has been given to us. And the story in Genesis 2 says he reached down into in a rich, fertile soil. Now, what does rich, fertile soil look like? I know when you read the Bible dictionaries, and it talks about Adam, it talks about soil, rich, red, fertile soil. See, they don't want to identify. The richest soil you can get is black, oxygenated soil. Okay, so when I was a kid, every year, my mom used to have me clean out this plot of land on the side of the garage. No, we didn't live, we lived in suburbia, but she had a small farm. No, it wasn't a farm. As far as I'm concerned, it was a farm because it took all day to get it together. And so she would task me with going through this field in the spring and clean out all the rocks, all of the debris that may have popped over into our yard because from the alley side of our property. And so I would clean it all out. She would have me rake it all out. I'm like, not, so I had the big rake, then I had the little late rake, then finally got it plotted out to a nice bed where seeds could be planted. So I thought we were done. But the next thing she did was say, let's go to the store. And she would purchase these bags of what they call peat moss. And I didn't really know what it was, but I know when I put it on the ground and spread it out over that plat of field, it went from being a grayish black to a black. And so as I grew older, I come to learn that peat moss that she dropped on it was like a fertilizer. It was like a topsoil that was very oxygenated, and it represented the ability to grow something, that melanin base. So we got the field all planted and got it together. And now she would sow her seeds. Now, there are some things I learned by doing that. Some of the seeds that we sowed came up quicker than the others. And I learned that there was a maturation period. And I'm saying that this is an aside this morning. When you sow a word into source, into this realm, the earth, when the word says, as long as the earth remains, is seed time and harvest. And the word time is maturation. So sometimes when you plant a seed, not all the time, the maturation process is something that you must take into consideration. Although the seed sown, example, if I sow a seed that is a beet, it's a beet before it even breaks the ground and comes forward. The seed is the source. It's a beet. It doesn't become a beet after it grows. It's a beet. That's why I knew to plant that seed, because I want to grow beets. So likewise, the idea you have, the thing desired, the wish you have is already in manifestation. It has to be sown. So once you have sown it, you have to allow for a maturation. You got to allow that it has a natural time of maturation. So you can't expedite it. All you can do is cultivate it. And how do you cultivate the seed that you've sown? You cultivate it by holding it in its intentions. You cultivate it by speaking words of gratitude from the place of it has already happened. Example, when I cultivate things in my life, I may say things like, I remember when. I remember when I was broke. I remember when I was just getting by. I remember when I was sick in my body and didn't feel well. So I remember when tells me that used to be and is not my state. So when you start ruminating on the state undesired, change it to I remember when, and watch yourself get the win. So let's go back. So in Genesis chapter 1, man is created as a spiritual being. In Genesis chapter 2, now God says, I must give it form. And so the form that it came forth from was the rich, fertile soil out of the cradle of Africa. The prototype man, the first formed man, was formed from the rich, fertile soils, not of the Euphrates, not of anywhere else in the world, but off of the Hapi, or off of the southern tip of the Nile, which you call south, which is the upper Nile, where the blue and white Nile meets. That whole area up around Uganda, it is believed that that's where man was originally formed from. They look at the DNA and they trace it back to there, and they trace it back to the first woman. So why am I telling you this? Because you have a earth container. And so God, what he does, first he actually creates us as spirit beings, then he forms us into human beings, and he didn't stop there. It didn't stop there. And I'm using the story that we all are accustomed to, the Abrahamic religious stories that we find in the first 5 books of the Bible. In Genesis, it said, after he formed man, he did something with man that he didn't do with dogs, cats, bats, rats, or with roaches, or with monkeys, or giraffes, or any other animal, or any other thing. It says that he breathed on it and it became a living soul. So you had the Ba being breathed on, being infused with the Ka. And that's why the Egyptians gave us the Kaaba. So that you have a soul and a spirit. The spirit is Ka, and the soul is the Ba. The soul is that which makes you uniquely you, okay? Now, the interesting thing, because they believe in the reincarnation. Now, we reincarnate every night. Without getting really deep and going into the reincarnation after the physical death, let's look at the reincarnation that potentially takes place after the death of sleep. So when you go to sleep at night, you don't wake up the same person unless you are thinking the same thoughts, seated with the same program. But if you know how to go to sleep at night and open yourself up, that a new program, or the program that should be unfolding at this point in your life, be downloaded, you wake up as a new creation. You wake up as a new creature. So when we look at the comedic story about the 42 declarations, how when the individual would die, they would have their hearts weighed against those 42 affirmations or declarations to see whether or not they have been true to self, true to mission, true to call, morality, and all of that. And it dictates whether they have to do over or whether they can ascend to a new day. And so every day when you go to, every night when you go to sleep, you go through what's called the underworld. And while you're in the underworld, you should be, you're looking at, are you true to the things that your declarations? Like I say, at the start of my day, when I wake up in the morning, I say, I will not. And I have a list of things I will not do. And I shared those with you before. And then when I go to sleep at night, before I go to sleep, in my mind, my consciousness, I will begin to go through, I did not. And if I get to one like say, I did not steal, but I know I stole something, then I'm going to replay that in my mind. I'm going to revision. First, I'm going to ask myself, why did I feel the need to steal? And now I'm coming face to face with the trust issue, because I didn't trust that source would provide. So I took it in my own power to pull that thing off. So I stole. And so the word says there's a way that appears to man that appears to be right, but the end thereof is destruction. So, because what goes around comes around. I've stole from someone else, they're going to steal from me unless I revision that. So I see the thing that I have, the infraction that I've made, then I take it into a revision. So I look at that whole process. Okay, I'm not. So I revisit it, and I'm not stealing this time. I'm waiting, and it comes to me in another way. I'm able to pay for it. And so I reset that. I take responsibility for that. And if I need to, when I rise the next day, I make amends to that. If I'm able to return it, if I'm whatever, you can do without causing your life. You have some other challenges. So that's what we do at night. So, and I'm said that to say, because there comes the weighing of your soul, the weighing of your ba. Now your ba comes with you every day, every night. When you wake up tomorrow, the essence of who you is, your soulish stuff comes with you. And the work you do is the soul man. You're not working on your spirit man. You're working on your soulish man. You're working that your soulish man will allow the conversions to be overtaken. What do I mean by conversion? The scripture says, I must decrease, that the God or the Christ conscious in me increase. So one must. So here's how we look at it. For most of us, we are like this. This is the Ka. And I mean, this is the Ba. This is your personality. This is what makes you uniquely you, that people can identify you as your authentic self. And then this little thing here is the spirit or the Ka. Now, all of us have a Ka, have a portion of the Ka, the portion of the Spirit of God in us. Now, it says, I must decrease. And most of us define ourselves by our by our things that we have accomplished, by things that our names, our likes, our phenotype. I'm a male. I'm Greg. I'm an African-American male. I'm 62 years old. I have 10 grandchildren, all those things. So the things I'm a Phi Beta Sigma. I spent time in the United States Navy. I have a master's degree. All those things that make me up represents my body. But the word says that I must decrease. And as I decrease, the ka increase. See how it almost disappears. And so you become the spirit person more so than the soulish person. The word says when you are soulish or carnally minded, to be carnally minded, so the mind is spirit. So to be a carnal mind is this: when the carnal self, the ba, overlaps the ka. It says when that happens, it's death. And why is it death? Because you have contained the spirit, made it subservient to the ba, ka, your little spirit and your physical self, your sensory self. And here's where you must be, the born again process is when you allow yourself to decrease and you allow the spirit or the ka to increase. And then you be like this: you are a spirit man, you are a spirit that possesses a soul and lives in a body. You see that? You are tripartite. You are a spirit that possesses a soul and lives in a body. But many of us, before we are transformed, transfigured, before we have renewed our mind, we are a soul that lives in a body, and we are restricting our spirit. If you want to do great exploits, if you want to raise to your true capacity, you must become a spirit being that possesses a soul and lives in a body. Where you live at it is not important, because you should be always moving. But the soul of man or the mind of man is the thing that waits on. Your soul is either waiting on the spirit, or your soul is either waiting on the physical man or the carnal man. And so our goal is to be the soul waits on the spirit realm. Example, Jesus said, I'd like to use Jesus as an example because many of you are familiar with the biblical stories. I do no thing in his soulish self. As an incarnate being, all of us are incarnate beings, but he had a realization that he should do nothing except he first see his Father doing it. He did nothing, except he first heard his Father saying it. And I'm saying to you that you need to get to the place where you make no moves until you have consulted with and allow the spirit of source to converge on you. I'll give you an example. Many of us think that Jesus spent a lot of time in prayer. I say he spent very little time in prayer. When you saw him going into the silence, he wasn't praying. He was going into a meditative state where he could download what source was saying to him, what he was to be doing, what he was to have. And that's what so the word says, many are the plans of man. Many of us are going after things, doing things that we can do all things, but all things are not expedient. It says, the word says, all things are lawful. You can do what you want to do. I mean, you can get high, you can get drunk, you can participate in sexual escapades that please your physical body. But there is a way that appears to man that is destruction. So you got to find the unique and the authentic design for everything. A hammer is made for hammering. A screwdriver is made to unscrew things. And then there's screwdrivers that are standard flatheads. And then there's the Phillips that has the 4 points to them. Then there's a Phillips that is small. And many of us have, how many of you have messed up a perfectly good screw by using the wrong screwdriver to bring it out or put it in. You strip it out. There's a right tool for every job. And so you must understand how you were designed and how you should be operating. We have descended to the place where we operate according to the brain, according to our ba, versus operating according to our kaba, that divine relationship. Now, I hope I'm making some sense to you all this morning. I don't see any comments over in the chat room. I'm going to take a minute here, and somebody put something in there. Tell me if are you tracking with me? Type it in there so I can see to make sure I'm just not speaking to noise or white space. So if you're tracking with me this morning over here on the Zoom room, go ahead and type something in. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask. Good. Okay, Courtney sent me a message, so let me see what that says. Good morning, Ken. Okay, chat is disabled on Zoom. So let me see if I can fix that right quick. Let me see if that's fixable. So I'm gonna go to the Zoom chat room. Everyone, so it should be live. Everybody should be everyone. There you go. Try it now, everyone. Go ahead. I'm sorry. There we go. Type a little something in there this morning. Are you tracking with me? Good morning. Yes, I see some hands right there. Thanks for putting that up there. Great. So I want to make sure you're with me because this is critical. This is some stuff that you probably haven't heard in this way before. So if you had a question, go ahead and drop it over there and I'll circle back. So we are understanding this. The word says, let this mind, or the better word for that, spirit. Let this mind be in you. The same mind that was in Jesus, the incarnated man, that he did not consider it robbery to be equal. Now, let me help you with something. We can be equal, but not the same. Okay, husband and wife, equal, but they're not the same. He has an Audi and she has an innie. They're not the same. He has a chest and she has breasts. So they're not the same, but they're equal. Created in the image and the likeness of God. The divine being, the divine masculine, the divine feminine shows up in him. Divine masculine, the divine feminine shows up in her, but is outsourced in the container of a male or a female. So we're too one-sided. Females are showing up saying that they are operating in the divine feminine, and men are showing up saying they operate in the divine masculine. Well, until you show up operating in the wholeness of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, you have no charge. Just like a battery has a positive and a negative end, if that positive and negative end is not working in tandem, you get no power. So there's a lot of things we do because we are just ignorant. And ignorance is not something, I'm not throwing a stone at nobody. Ignorance means we don't know. And it's a beautiful thing when you bump up against somebody, it lets you know what you know and what you don't know. Too many of us will bump up against someone who knows, and instead of us acclimating or bringing that new knowledge and expanding our knowingness, we are entrenched into it does not fit into what I know. There's more that you don't know than you know, but there's more that you ought to know than you know. So I'm just speaking truth to power this morning. So I'm talking about convergence. When two things, like when you ever been in a train yard, you have two tracks and then there's a switch, and that switch can take that two tracks and run them on one track. And so we have to have a level of convergence where we are no longer running on the ba, or no longer religiously think we're running on the ka. But we got to learn to merge the two. That's why in Genesis chapter 2, he says, and it breathed on them and they became living souls. To be alive means has the capacity to do something. Okay, so you can be yet alive, but not and be dead. You can be alive, but not running at full capacity. You don't have your supercharge. So you have a level of the Kai is in you, but when you come into the realization and you allow the conversion to take place, then there's a measure that your full measure is made available to you. Well, let's say the full measure is always available to you, but because you are a soul man, a soulish man, running according to the limitations that your sensory realm puts on you, you don't have the ability to run in full capacity. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about convergence. That is, we want to converge the spirit, the divine essence. There's only one spirit. That same spirit that created all things, that is in all things, is the same spirit that is in you and me. I don't have a different spirit than you. I manifest with a different spirit than you do because I am allowing my Ba to really have the rule. But when we operate in the spirit of source, we all operate in the same way. We operate with the essence of love. We are operating from the place of there is no competition. We operate with the knowingness that I am perfect, whole, and complete. So I'm saying a lot to you this morning, but I believe you have the capacity. You have the ability to grab hold of this thing, what I'm saying. So the African taught us that we are a spirit and a soul. The African knew that when he said, it said soul, it wasn't saying spirit. And when it said spirit, it wasn't saying soul. The African knew that man has a Ka and a Ba. Kaba. That's the convergence. Ka represents spirit of source, divine intelligence, creator, Yahweh, Allah, Yeshua, whatever you want to call it, the Holy Spirit. The Ba is you. It's you, your authentic self, what makes you uniquely you, with the spark of Ka. But you got to allow that spark of Ka to grow. I must decrease, that source increase. Now, how do you do that? Here it is, and it's difficult. To be still and know. That's it, that's right. You got to learn how to be still. Don't make no moves until you've been in the stillness. Don't make any moves until you've been in the silence. Don't make any decision till you visit the silence. Don't to say who you are until you visit the silence. No, that's what I'm talking about. The convergence. You remember when Jesus was being baptized by John the Baptist? According to the story, there was a convergence. The Spirit descended on him as a dove in a gentle way. And so when you go into meditation, when you go into the silence, when you get quiet, the Spirit ascends upon you. It comes down to your third chakra, to your heart chakra, and then your spirit, the spirit of man, ascends to the heart chakra, and there's a convergence, and then there's capacity. To be the ability to do all things through the Ka that strengthens me. Did you get something? Well, I hope you did. And I want to apologize to those of you who dropped in and I wasn't there yet. I was there, but technology. So I'm learning to use technology in a more efficient way that I can increase my capacity. Well, I'm going to take a minute and answer a few questions, have a little dialogue so I can get over here to the last part of this weekend. They have a service this morning. I'm just amazed at what Spirit is doing and to be part of it and to have been prepared. See, you may have been prepared for a time such as this. Come on now. But to be able to be used in the now, you have to be willing to let go of what has been and only bring into this space what is relevant, what increases your capacity. So this morning, before I go into the green room and have a dialogue and answer some questions, perhaps, I want to challenge you to be transformed in the renewing of your mind when it comes to your resources. First of all, when we go to our barber, when we go to do our beauticians, we don't just sit in the chair and get our dues done. But once we get our dues done and we keep coming back because they're able to do, is we pay them. Now, what is our pay to them? Our pay to them is saying that what you've given me has the value that you've placed on it. And so we pay for it. Now, when it comes to ministry, you don't pay for it. Matter of fact, if you never gave me or this ministry a red cent, here's what you need to know. I'm in a universe that is abundant. Source is my supplier. I am a sorcerer. I'm able to pull down what I have need of. But here's what I'm saying to you, that if you find value in someone, you should show your appreciation. And sometimes it's a simple thank you. But you know, time is money. That's why you go to work and you put in overtime, because you know, if I put in overtime, I get more money. So respect other people's time, the time it took for me to be present to you and get this download to you. To say that that was good, but you attribute no value to it, then it is not really good to you. When you contribute a value to what you received, the thing you receive takes on a whole new meaning. It opens up in an entirely different way. Many of you have sown seeds, but you have not sown at the level that source had put on your heart to sow. And you did it because of fear. And maybe you did it because of ignorance. Maybe you did it because of the influence of something that has happened to you in the past. Somebody mismanaged in your eyesight. But when you sow a seed, you let it go. Like a farmer, he sows a seed. And if he sows a seed, he expects from that seed a harvest to come. If he sows a seed in a certain plot of land and is not bringing forth what he has sown, he stops sowing in that field. So some of us need to stop sowing in fields where we can't get a harvest. And if you keep coming back here, that tells me you're getting a harvest. Now, I don't want to get on the soapbox, but I have to sometimes be a little stronger. I make this space available to you so you can circulate part of your seed inside of this ministry. So the seed you sow helps you grow. You don't sow because of need. Neither do you sow because of greed. Now, some people sow because of that, because they say, well, if I give it, it'll be given to me. You got it out of context. Heart-based giving. So I thank all of you who continue to sow seeds into this ministry. Having never met me, only saw me on this platform, but you have found value. Not only do you send messages saying, that was a great message, and then they say, you'll say, here's my blessing. That's why I don't ask for. I'm not on Patreon. I don't want nobody to patronize me. I don't ask you to give me $1. No, if we have a relationship, and then I will communicate what my expectation is, that source will show you what to sow. Now, when you move into a relationship with me and you become part of the partnership, there's a base level we'll start with, and that's another conversation. So I'm gonna get off that soapbox. All right, I'm gonna look and see here. Over here in the chat, I don't see anything other than thanks for enabling the chat. I would love for one person to at least raise your hand and let's have a brief dive. There you go. She's on it. She's on it. Courtney was like playing that buzzer game. She was like, said, bam, she hit that thing. Good morning, Courtney. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. Great.
Good. So, as you know, I am working on manifesting a new residence for myself, and it's been very exciting. There's, been a little bit of contrast, but I'm in a peaceful situation to where I'm not being rushed out of my current situation, but I want to revisit, because sometimes when using the principles, sometimes you switch methods, sometimes you gravitate towards other techniques, and then you forget the basics sometimes. So can you help me remember, how do I act as if I already have this perfect home that I'm in expectation of?
You play the imaginary game first. So everything you desire first starts in the imaginary realm. It's a spark. So let's say all of a sudden you have this idea, this spark, okay? You want a new home. So in your mind's eye, an image of a new home comes to being, and it usually creates an emotional response. It feels good. That's like daydream. So you saw, like when I think of a new car, I think of a new Mercedes, that S550. I know what it smells like. I know what I look like driving it, and it makes me smile. It makes me feel good in there. So I know that feeling. So that's the feeling. That's the vibrational frequency I want to maintain. So now, once I know, okay, that's what I desire, I also go into this. Does this represent my highest and greatest good? Before I begin to hold an intention, I want to know, does this represents my highest and greatest good? And you'll know it's your highest and greatest good because the intensity continues to grow every day, okay? So you're also giving spirit the ability to say, it doesn't represent your highest and greatest good, and the spirit never goes against your will. Now, from your ba, okay, sometimes from our ba or from our soulish realm, we desire things, but that thing may not be the thing for you. But if spirit tells you no, or says not now, okay, a delay is not a denial. We got to be okay with that. But sometimes we force it. We keep doing what we want to do. And then we have to make room to know this. Even though I've decreed it, I have to leave space for the maturation of the time. It's already happened in the spirit realm. And like example, if you know me and we've had a relationship for years, and anytime you may have asked me for something, and if I say I'm gonna give it to you, it's coming. Then I'm gonna give it to you. You don't even have to ask Greg anymore. So if you say, "Hey, Greg, I need $200," and I say, "Cool, I'll send it to you," and you may say, "I need it today, at least by 3." And so from now until 3 p.m., you cool, because it's coming.
Yes.
And so that that feeling is coming. But let's say at 3:05 you look in Cash App and it's not there. It's a different feling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of concern. And
right.
So you want to stay away from the feeling of concern. Okay. You always want to be in the feeling of, I know that the universe cares for me.
Yeah.
And you keep it moving. And so when we go into this teaching of the power, the mastery of the mind, that is learning how to, there is the spirit of God in man, that you have to learn to work with the spirit that's in you. We don't own it. It's not of us. It's the spirit of man is our soulish self. The spirit in man is the Ka, is the Holy Spirit. So we have to learn to work with the Holy Spirit. So the easiest way is, once I say it, once I see it, then I say it, then I decree it, and then I play it. I see it, say it, play it. And what's the playing of it? Playing with it in my mind, envisioning what it's going to be like when what the gas for that S550 is $5.15. Cool, I got that. That's no problem. I don't I don't drive up the pump and wonder, can I afford this? Or I'm just going to put $5 in. No, I see myself pulling up the gas station, just filling up the tank.
Yeah,
I see myself taking a road trip. I see the responses that those who love me, who care for me, will give when they see me pull up. And I see myself going through the hood, and the young fella saying, "That's cold." So you play, you say it, you decree. What did I say? See,
decree.
You decree it. I said 3 S word. You
see it,
say it, and play it.
And play. I like that.
See it,
I like that.
That's an original. See it, say it, and play it. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I've been doing.
So we got to play with it. We got to stay in the playfulness of it, not the serious. You don't see it, say it, and be serious about it. You see it, say it, and play it. Okay.
Got it.
I know I'm making it a little simple, but it's really that simple.
Yeah.
The KISS method. Keep it short and simple. All right.
I like it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, good. Our international songbird. Good morning, Myrna. You have the mic. All right, there you go, Myrna.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's been quite an experience. I'm learning and listening through you and other sources as in this space, certainly serendipitously receiving additional teaching and learning. You gave the analogy of planting and maturation earlier. And I'm have been in that season of planting seeds of things that I eat. Started that in 2020 at the start of COVID. And so I'm learning because I am not a gardener at all. But I started as an experimentation just to give myself permission to make mistakes. And so I say that to say, okay, and I appreciate the C say play, love it, love to play, and experiment with things. And so all of that said, again, using the farming analogy, you plant a seed and you don't necessarily know how long the germination and the maturation process is to go, because this is seed you ain't never planted before. And you know it's a big seed. And you know that it's an oak tree versus a some strawberries.
Right.
You know, or and so it's a big seed. And so so that you don't get discouraged, or you don't even know how long it's going to take for that tree to bear fruit. How is it that because you don't even see the seedling coming up, you just kind of, okay, I know it's there, I believe it's there, I'm playing all I can in my head. I just wonder, and this is where the twist is and the turn is, okay, at what point do you find out, or you kind of resolve that, okay, you know what, Spirit is saying no versus Spirit is saying yes. Because there are some things that are no. And so you waiting and 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 waiting.
Yes.
And then you find out, oh, that's, are there signs, are there signals, are there ways to kind of see that, oh no, this is a different, this is not. And I'm not suggesting either or. I'm just saying, okay, yes, I know how to play in the wait space, but what if in that, and there is a sense that that the answer is no. Not that I'm wanting it to be no,
Right.
but I want to move in the flow of Spirit. And so if there's a no, then okay, cool. Let me move on. Not let me keep waiting here. So,
so good. No, but that's great. I'm glad you brought that forward. So once you you say it, you
say play.
See, yeah, you see it, you say it, you play it, you don't stay it. You don't stay stuck. You keep it moving. You, like a farmer plants a seed and it goes and deal with the chickens in the barns. You do what I need to do every day. Like when I wake up, I affirm, I confirm, I cultivate the seed I sown. In gratitude. You can say gratitude was, I remember when I drove that hoopty, and now I'm driving my new S550. So you take it from remembering when to now it is in gratitude. So gratitude statements. Now, here's the critical piece before we start seeing it, saying it. We must go into the silence. So the silence precedes the seeing. Ooh, that's pretty. The silence precedes the seeing, which precedes the saying, which precedes the playing. And you get that?
Yeah.
So we should be a life of meditation, a lifestyle of allowing downloads. And when we're getting the downloads, I like that. Thanks for putting it in there. When we're getting the downloads, you never go wrong. The word says the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. And you get the order by this time. When a waiter comes to your table, they start speaking to tell you the specials. But if you notice a good waiter, he gets quiet. He goes into the silence that your request could be made known. Or he'll say, I'll return and take your orders. Gives you the opportunity to go into the silence. What do I have a taste for? And then you place your order. Does that analogy work?
So what I'm hearing you say is you don't even see it. I mean, you don't even attempt to see it if you're not aligned with spirit.
That's right. That's where we start. We start from the place of possibilities, the darkness of the field. See, so many of us want to walk in the light, but darkness precedes light. Come on now. And so we go into the darkness. In the darkness is like the canvas of your mind, where everything that could come forth is in there. And that's why it's dark and it's looked like chaos. And then where there's chaos, you have to speak order. And the order comes from when you get in your mind what you want. You say it. You intuit inside of the silence, inside of the meditative state. And then you'll know what to speak. That's why we got one mouth. We speak once. We got two eyes. We look twice. We got two ears that we can hear to make sure, am I hearing what I'm supposed to be hearing? And then we speak once. Carpenters say you measure twice and you cut once.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I've enjoyed my time with you all here this morning, bringing this message. Let me see. This is somebody, let me see here. If I can see this. This is be still and know, right? Amir said, be still and know. So that looks like that brings us to the close. I need to get over here to where I need to get to. I look forward to you guys going out there. Look at that email. If you want to really know how to master the mind, the mastery of your mind, you got to get in this master course that's going to take place over the entire fall. Now, I'm asking you to start with this. When you register for that class, one of the things I want you to do is get quiet and identify what it is you want to bring into your life. What do you want to release into this realm? What is your wish? Too many of us we don't have no wish. If you don't have a wish, you don't have an intention. And we go from wishful thinking, we wish for this, we wish for that. I wish, I wish, I wish. But when you really know what you wish for, you set an intention, and there's some very intentional things, behavioral wise, you do to bring that thing into fruition. Well, my time is spent. Yours is valuable to me. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Asar, auspiciously Asar, also known as Greg Stanton. Peace. Have a wonderful day as you move out on your way.